All right, you guys, today we're going to be writing and solving a proportion or proportions. A proportion, very big word as far as it is so useful in everyday life that we do. It's an equation, so it has an equal sign, that states that two ratios are equivalent. And remember, we talk about ratios as fractions, so it's stating two fractions are equal. Okay, so the first, I'm going to show you a couple different methods to solve these, and you've probably already seen them before. Solve the proportion using equivalent ratios. Okay, well, first of all, when we have A over B equals C over D, that's stating that they are proportion because they are equal. Remember, our denominators can't be 0 because if they are, then we can't divide by nothing. It comes out undefined. So this fraction 3/5 is equal to x over 20. Well, remember, what do we multiply by 5 in order to get 20? 5 times 4 is 20, so all we do is take 3 times 4, and that will give us the equivalent fraction, which is 12, so it would be 12 over 20. It's very simple. You guys do checkpoint 1 and 2. And before I go on to show you the second method to solve a proportion, I want to know if you guys heard about the Italian chef that died. Did you hear about the Italian chef that died? No? He passed away. Passed away. Get it? I know that was kind of corny, but I thought it was pretty funny. Or where do snowmen keep their money? They keep them in snowbanks. Oh, I cracked myself up. Anyway, the next one is using algebra. If we have, I'm going to write this over here, if we have x over 15 equals 2 over 5, they're stating that we're dividing x by 15. How do we undo division? Well, we're going to multiply both sides by 15, right? If they're dividing, we're going to multiply by 15. What happens to these 15s? They cancel out, leaving me with x is equal to, and again, these are rational numbers, so we can cancel. We get x is equal to 6. How do we know if we're right? Well, we check our answers. Put 6 in there. 6 over 15, does that reduce to 2/5? Well, if I divide them each by 3, I get 2/5, and they are equal. Okay, so you guys do 3 through 6 and bring them back. And remember, I told you that proportions are really helpful in everyday life, because if you can set up a ratio of information that they give you, as long as you are consistent every time you do one of these problems, you should get these answers correct. So look at this first one. Maple syrup. The sap of maple trees is used to make maple syrup. To make 1 gallon of maple syrup takes 40 gallons of sap. Write and solve a proportion to find the number of gallons of maple syrup that can be made from 1,520 gallons of sap. So we're going to let x equal, what's the question asking for? It's asking for the number of gallons of syrup. Number of gallons of syrup. Okay? Now, very important that you are consistent here. And they tell you 1 gallon of maple syrup takes 40 gallons of sap. I'm going to write this as a ratio, and I'm going to put my labels on it because they have, a ratio has labels. 1 gallon of syrup over 40 gallons of sap. Here's where I said you must be consistent. Be consistent. And when I say that, that means that if my top label is syrup, the bottom label is sap, I have to put syrup over sap. So I have 1 gallon of syrup over 40 gallons of sap. That's got to equal syrup over sap. Now look at what other information that they give you. They give you 1,520 gallons of sap. Well, that has to go down in the denominator where sap is. So I put 1,520. And if you look at how we defined the variable, it said x is the number of gallons of syrup. So we're going to put x up in the top. Okay? Well, use either of the two methods that we used before. I'm going to use algebra. I'm going to multiply both sides by 1,520 to get that to cancel off. That leaves me with x over here. And really what I end up doing is dividing these two, because this is over 1. I can knock off the zeros. So 4 into 15 goes 3. And then 4 into 32 goes 8. So it terminates right there. So my answer is 38 gallons of syrup are made. Very, very important that you guys know how to do this, because a lot of the I-step problems and everyday life problems are story problems.